Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I get a chance to interview someone of my age. Ram Mohan Naidu is exactly of my age and the youngest minister.
Thank you so much.
And Ram, I must say this because not many, perhaps in the audience, really know what you have gone through. I want to start with the struggle, the story of Ram Mohan Naidu and how he actually came into politics. We all know that he is the youngest cabinet minister, but someone who was not destined to be a politician to begin with, someone who was in Singapore and thereafter a tragic incident in his life and he was brought into politics. Your story first.
Like you said, I went to the US for my education. I did my bachelor's and my MBA from the United States, and I came back. I was always with the idea that politics is not my cup of tea. Though my father comes from a very strong political legacy, and he has established himself as one of the tallest leaders from Andhra Pradesh and in fact in the national politics also. But for some reason, since the growing up days, it was always like politics is just up to him and I would do something of my own, probably some kind of business or something. But very unfortunate that I had to lose him at a very young age in an unfortunate road accident. And then destiny has brought me back to politics. And I was faced with that question at the time when I lost my father, that there was an opportunity in front of me. Will I be continuing his legacy or not? And at that time, it was a split decision that I've taken, that being an educated man, this is what you want to see in the country. This is what people expect to see, the change in politics where they want young people to come in. No matter if I say that it's a destiny-driven decision, I would say it is a calculated decision in the sense that I wanted to bring about that change where youth also can feel that this is an area where they can come in, where they can perform, where they can feel the purpose and they can feel that this is an area which is related to us also. And it was that small commitment that I had at that time, that small change that I wanted to believe in. And it is with that belief that I came in, and rest is history. You're seeing me as the youngest cabinet minister in the country. I think that itself shows the belief that I had at that time.
Can I then ask you, because your predecessors were of the age between 51 and 72 or 73.
I think I just screwed up the statistics a little bit. Otherwise, young in politics is probably 40, 50 also. People were considering it to be young.
Yeah, they are
now,
still
being
young.
36, I'm an outlier and I've tried to...
But when you handle the ministry, do the bureaucrats really take you seriously?
Oh, yes, they do. Yeah, they definitely do. That much I can vouch for, because they respect the position that I'm in, irrespective of the age. Like, let it be the bureaucrats that are around me, or let it be the other ministers also who are around me, who have been seeing me for the last 10 years at least. They understand the position that we are in right now, and they definitely respect me, and they definitely give value to the choices that I make or the decisions that I make. So I think the Indian political system respects the positions more than the age. It's just that there is little opportunity for people my age to come to these positions at a very young age. So if you see more and more, I think that's a good transition that the country is expecting to see.
Lest we get called as ageist, let's now get into the brass tacks of your ministry. The Prime Minister essentially spoke about the aviation growth story. And if today India's annual growth at more than 6% can be augmented, it can be through the aviation industry, and it's no longer limited to the elite class. Having said that, we still are far away, miles away from becoming an aviation global hub. How far have we reached?
There are many more things that we need to achieve, but one thing which I can proudly say is that the way that we have grown in aviation, especially in the last 10 years, and this success has been largely driven by the passion of our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. 2014, I'll tell you some basic numbers which gives you the comparison of the growth that we have achieved in the country. 2014, we had 74 airports in the country. And today, in just 10 years, we have doubled it up to 157 airports. And the travelers, we used to have around 10 crore, and now we have around 20 crore passengers, more than 20 crore actually. And then if you look at the aircraft fleet, We were having 400 aircrafts in 2014, and now we have more than 800 in the fleet. So we have almost doubled the numbers in just 10-year phase. And no other country in the world has seen this much growth in civil aviation. That is why I say it has been a passionately driven success by the Prime Minister that we have achieved today. And we take pride in that success, and we still believe that there is a lot more achievable things for the country to do. And but the foundation has been laid. And one of the things that we want to target, I'll just put what we want to achieve in a couple of points. One is what you have said, we want to be a global hub for aviation. Yeah. And when we talk about global hub, we want to create our airports to be these mega airports where they can be transit airports from the whole east of the world to the west of the world. And that is something we are strongly pursuing now that we have made our foot stronger in the aviation field. We want to achieve the aviation hubs in Delhi Airport, Bangalore Airport, Hyderabad Airport, and many of the other metropolitan city airports. And the other thing that I would take little more deeper into aviation. See, aviation, when you talk about it, you generally talk about the airports and the aircrafts. But I'm talking little more deeper in the sense about the job creation that aviation brings to the country, the opportunities that it brings other than just traveling, which is the MRO business. MRO business is something which we still have a lot of potential in. There, 95% of engine MRO still happens outside the country, so we are targeting to have it in the country itself. Now, what is a $2 billion industry? In the next 7 years, we want to make it $4 billion industry. So that is one target that we have. And the other thing is the other aspects of aviation. Just like we have the aircrafts, we have seaplanes, we have helicopters, we have drones. So how do we access the potentiality of these different sectors in aviation and try to achieve the success that India strives to achieve? So these are some of the targets that we have kept, and we are exploring all these different venues.
There's a paradox here. You have come a long way from the time of, say, for example, Modi Luft to East West Airlines to an Indigo and several others today. But having said that, why is it that India still does not have a brand, say, for example, like an Emirates or an Etihad? Is there something still pulling us back?
No, I believe that what Indigo is trying to do or Air India is trying to do, it is trying to set its operations or its expectations according to the Indian ethos. It is first getting its operations tailor-made for the Indian customer. So what you're seeing in the Indian aviation today is what India expects, what India wants, what India desires. And when you're moving in that direction, you don't need to compare yourself with any Emirates or American Airlines or some other Qantas Airlines or all these. So we are purely looking, see, this is the strength that Modi has brought to us. That view the country, view the business from the Indian point of view. Don't just look at what the world is doing and everything. You, as a country, are strong enough to do things the way you want it. So we are also driving that spirit forward, that India, what it needs, let us take that into account. See, our whole mantra for Indian aviation today, how Modi ji says is that, Hawai chappal se Hawai jahaj ka safar. Now, हवाई चप्पल से हवाई जहाज का सफ़र तो एमिरेट से कैसे होगा? अपने यहाँ से एयरलाइंस को ऐसे बनाना है कि हवाई चप्पल वाले को भी अच्छा लगे कि वो जा सके. And one of the important things is to make it affordable. So these are some of the concepts that we have in mind. We are looking at the Indian market, we are looking at the Indian passenger, we are looking at the Indian consumer, and then trying to develop our airlines.
But how do you do that? Because when we are a very price conscious society.
Yes.
And when you have a particular sector to a tourist area costing you more than 10,000 rupees and there is no capping to it,
yes,
it becomes even more difficult for anyone with a Hawaii chappal to be in an aircraft.
That is definitely a challenge here because the aviation market itself is a very sensitive market and it depends on many different aspects. And one of the major things which affects the prices is the fuel price itself, which takes a majority share of the air prices that we pay. And how do we address this? This also we have another scheme under our ministry, which is the UDAN scheme, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, where we are trying to connect the unserved and underserved airports of the country. Now you know that we have created 157 airports. That is just creating the infrastructure. But the real challenge lies in how do you connect these airports. When it becomes a challenge for connecting the airports, we have brought in the UDAN scheme, where we have said to the airlines that if you are not able to run in these routes, where the common man usually tries to connect to the aviation, then we are going to pay you a viability gap funding. And through the scheme, you would be surprised that we have started 600 new routes in the last 7 years since we have started this scheme. It was a hugely successful scheme, and it has become so successful now the states, the airports, the local regions, they are asking like, अब हमारे भी उड़ान से चला दो, अब हमारे भी उड़ान से चला दो. Because it has become a major driver of connecting these unserved and underserved airports. We were able to bring in new routes. And one, we have brought the prices down because the viability gap funding, we are assisting the airlines through the Udan. So the airlines feel that, okay, if we don't fill in the seats, we don't need to charge the existing guy more, but we can get some support from the government also. So this is one intervention that we have done as the ministry so that the prices don't rise more than what the people expect them to be.
What are we to expect, say, for example, in the next coming few years? The Prime Minister laid a roadmap for 2047 as to achieving certain targets. What is it that you see in the near future being completed, and something that is going to be very different than what we've seen in other countries which are struggling at this point in time, particularly in the aviation industry?
See, one thing we still have is the economies of scale. India is such a growing country, and it has become very aspirational. So whatever momentum we have created in Indian aviation for the last 10 years, we want to continue it. The number of airports, what we are looking at 157 today, by 2047, the Viksit Bharat 2047, we want to create it up to 350 airports. We feel that there is a potential for India to have an airport at every 150 kilometer distance. So we can reach to 350 or more than that also. That is the planning that we are doing now. On top of that, we are encouraging the airlines also to buy more airplanes and bring them into the Indian fleet. And we have the highest number of orders for any airlines in the whole world. We have 1,500 aircrafts waiting to be delivered. We have already ordered for 1,500 aircrafts. That's going to increase our number to one of the biggest in the whole world itself. On top of that, we are exploring different avenues. Like I said, if you look at helicopters, we are still lagging behind in that helicopter network. India as a country has around 260 helicopters, whereas Brazil as a country has up to 600 helicopters. And if you talk about China, maybe 800 helicopters. So we have an opportunity to capture the helicopter network. So one thing under the leadership of Modi ji we are trying to look at is to increase the helicopter network. We want to build up more heliports, especially in the regions where they feel that we want an airport because we want to fly from here. Airports is a challenging task. You need up to 600-700 acres or more than 700 acres. It is not possible in all terrains or all regions. So we want to give air connectivity there through heliports. And now another option that we are looking at is seaplanes. We have launched the seaplane, we have modified the guidelines for seaplanes, and we have just done a demo seaplane activity in Andhra and Kerala also in the previous 2 days. And there is a lot of excitement around it because, again, the seaplane connectivity gives you multiple options, unimaginable amount of options for you to land and take off. Anywhere you see a water body which is 5-meter depth and with a range of 200 meters, you can land a seaplane there. So imagine the kind of connections that you can have across the country, especially to the islands, especially to the northeast areas or difficult areas. So seaplane activity is something which we want to improve. We are taking Maldives as an example, and we want to create India also as a seaplane hub in the world. And on top of that, drones. Drones, there is an ample amount of opportunity for the government to offer its services, especially when it comes to surveillance or agriculture or construction. There are many fields where drone technology can revolutionize.
But what about the regulations, particularly with drones?
We, as the ministry, our role is majorly the regulatory role itself. So we want to, whatever aspects that, let me talk about seaplanes, let me talk about helicopters or the drones. What I'm looking at is how will I make the regulation for more players to come inside, more people to operate in this, and make the prices more affordable and give the access to the 140 crore citizens of this country. So my job is to connect all these technologies to each and every person, not make it a class-wise approach that only certain people can have access to these certain technologies. I want to take it up to each and every person of the country, make it accessible for everyone. So the regulation side which is there, I'm trying to look at the whole world itself. And one other technology that is going to be very interesting and which might kind of give us a advantage over other countries is the eVTOLs, electric vehicle takeoff and landing vehicles, where probably you'll see in the next 1.5 years in cities like Mumbai, in Delhi, where you'll have these electric vehicles It might be unmanned also, where you're sitting in the vehicle and you're just flying 20-meter distance in a city from one place to another. It's going to revolutionize city transport. So the guidelines that are required, the regulations that are required, we as a country are looking at it right now so that when it comes out in 2026, which is the expected date, there is a smooth flow of operations. So as a regulator, I want to see that all these different mediums of transport, air transport that are there is a proper streamlined regulation and policy in place. So once safety is intact, security is intact, but at the same time, people have access to these technologies. I see that when I promote these kind of technologies, new technologies, or improve the infrastructure in this, there is going to be more economic activity, more job growth in the process, and overall the development of the whole aviation sector. So when that, I see that MRO business also picking up as you improve the infrastructure. So it is a chain linking activity. So the first thing I'm looking at is increase the infrastructure, increase the number of options that you have in air mode transport. So these are some things that in the next 5 years I'll be very dedicatedly looking upon.
Recently, with the ministerial level talks that were actually taking place, the Asia Pacific ministerial meetings that have taken, the conference that have taken place, you've had a declaration that was adopted. The declaration, many would say, puts across the roadmap. What do you think perhaps changes the entire scenario, the entire aviation industry, with India playing a major role in the Asia-Pacific region?
We were very proud to host the second Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference. And one of the takeaways, and especially because it was happening in India, we had to give a certain idea about what India is about through the conference also. So two things we wanted to highlight. We obviously discussed upon the subjects that I've touched before, but two things we highlighted in the conference, because it was an international conference, we wanted them also to feel what India was looking at. So one thing is we wanted to see more women in aviation. And this, you'd be very surprised to know, the average number of pilots, women pilots across the world, the global average number is 5%. The Indian average number is 15%. Would you believe that? We are leading the numbers in women pilots or women workforce in aviation. So we wanted to showcase that to all the international countries, and we were telling them, boss, we need more women in aviation. We have to make it more convenient, more accessible, more people, more women should come into the workforce. So we have, in the Delhi Declaration, we have put in a clause saying that, okay, we have to collectively think in the future so that we can see more women come into this. And the second point we stressed upon is the sustainable aviation fuel. And believe me when I say this, this is going to be a problem that the whole world is going to look at tomorrow. We need sustainable skies. We need greener skies, and one of the 3%, I think it's 2 to 3%, the gases emission is being done by the air travel today. So that is an area of concern for us also, and India wants to lead in that space. So sustainable aviation fuel is one of the solutions for having greener skies for aviation. And right now we are on the verge of devising the technologies that create the sustainable aviation fuel, SAF, what it's called. So SAF is something which India wants to be ahead of the curve. India wants to lead the whole world in how do you create SAF more efficiently and more in an affordable price also. So these two are the major things that we are looking at so that India can lead what the future challenges are going to be and create a way or direction for the whole world to follow us.
Well, what is it that the world never believed that India could really achieve, particularly in the aviation industry? Is there something that during these conversations that you've had with people outside, what is it that they say that is perhaps a model to be adopted even outside?
No, definitely how we have managed to create so many airports. That was very surprising for all of them. When I shared this same figure of 74 to 157, they were all gasping. They were like, India having so many airports, then yes, it is believable. It is already there in front of us, and that is how we are aiming for 350 more airports also. The way in the last 10 years, it's not that it's an unimaginable number, it is the speed at which we have done. 10 years, I'm telling you, no other country has reached this kind of numbers. So when we say that in the last 10 years, we were able to create 70 airports and we have increased the capacity also, so that takes them, and the number of aircraft orders also that we have given. 1,500 aircrafts, no other country has given. So they see the potential of growth of aviation in the country, not just the one we have seen in the last 10 years, but what they are going to see in the next 10 years. And definitely when we have said that more women need to come in, and we have proved it by the statistics also, that also they were kind of feeling happy about India, that we are leading them in the front in women aviation also.
Do you believe there would be a time that perhaps India could have something like what Dubai has, what Doha has? Can that be the hub that you want?
Absolutely,
Is that possible?
absolutely. And if you talk about Doha, Qatar, the Kuwait, or especially Dubai, the statistics show that they are all running because of India only today. They get connected to India, they are taking passengers from here and connecting them through the rest of the world. That is how they are making their airports viable. Their airports are running because of Indians. Now, if you have those kind of connectivity from India itself, if you offer those kind of facilities on our Indian airports itself, and you create the hub and spoke model within the country itself, then definitely you can have Dubai in India itself. You can have another Gulf kind of airport in India itself. But it is a time-taking process. It's not as easy as I'm talking on the mic itself that I want to create a hub here. It takes some time because there are many things which need to combinedly do, and it's not just the matter of Ministry of Civil Aviation and their officers and everybody coming together. We need support from Ministry of Home Affairs. We need support from Ministry of External Affairs. We need support from Ministry of Tourism. So there are many aspects that come into play when I say that I want to create a world-class hub, aviation hub in the country. So it is a work in progress. And we recently had one meeting with the Prime Minister also, where he reviews each departments. We had a review, and his primary priority was also that we need our own aviation hub in the future itself. So it is a priority point, and we are collectively working towards it.
Well, I'm asking you this question, Ram, because I couldn't ask him for a very long time, and I was pursuing him. Unfortunately, he didn't. So today I'll ask him this question because this matters to a lot of us. Mind-boggling number of bomb hoax calls came in the last several weeks. Perhaps it, instilled some sort of a fear among a lot of air travelers. Was there a larger conspiracy at play? Even if you say that there could be isolated incidents, but the numbers were mind-boggling. Is there a larger pattern?
No, I wouldn't, first of all, I wouldn't comment on that directly because the investigation is still going on. And two things about that is that, one, you will be relieved that they've stopped right now. We are not having the...
You found the culprit?
It's not about finding the culprit. It was like those 10-15 days, there was continuous series of threats happening on the social media or through calls of various mediums, but they have suddenly stopped for whatever reason. And whatever has happened, whatever threats we got at that time, there is a serious investigation going on. So until we really pinpointedly find out that this person or this XYZ is behind this, I don't want to comment on this at this point of time. It would be too early to do that. But the other thing, like you've said, there were certain probably some worry among the passengers, but what we have observed, because I was thoroughly following up all the details and statistics and all, surprisingly the number of passengers were the same, and there was no cut down in any of the passengers. Could be for various reasons. I'm not defending myself here, but I'm saying that.
But some thought that this could be because of the growth in the aviation industry. Yes. Was this to target or tarnish the image of the growing, burgeoning aviation industry in India? Was that also a target? Can that be ruled out?
Like I said, I won't want to comment on it, but if you feel that that is the cause, I'm telling you that it's not.
You're not denying it.
No,
You're not denying it. You're still giving me the headline.
If there is a hypothetical situation, like let us say, out of all the 1,000 different possibilities, if one possibility becomes what you say, that situation is never going to come that they can bog us down and say that because of these threats, we are going to target the Indian aviation. Today, we are a very aspirational country. We are a very strong country. We believe in what we are collectively as a whole country. So these kind of things, we are going to take them as a challenge. We are going to fight them. We are going to head-on fight them and go ahead. But like I said, nothing has come to a standstill. We have improved our security at the airports by 10%. We have increased the surveillance, and we have increased the convenience also, so that we have effectively, how do you deal the security aspect when you get these kind of hoax calls? So we have reinvented some of the procedures that we have so that we can actively target these kind of situations. So ultimately we came out better only.
One final question is, one cannot let you go without asking politics, and that too from your state. We've seen the number of visits that you have made recently. Many would say that the way you've targeted your political opponents in the state of Andhra Pradesh, we've seen the Tirupati issue that happened. Do you believe that this is becoming a revenge politics in the state of Andhra Pradesh? We saw that what Jagan Mohan Reddy did. Is this revenge politics?
We don't believe in revenge politics, and this was our mantra for the last 5 years also, when there was strong vindictive politics in the state itself. And we believe we have come to power in a historic majority. The mandate itself is so surprising that nobody would believe that in Indian politics you would achieve this kind of victory. I'll give you a simple statistics: 175 MLA seats. Andhra went for elections in 24, 175 assembly seats we have fought together as NDA against other party. We have won 164. 93% strike rate. Nowhere in the country you have achieved this kind of results. And we believe the kind of revenge politics the previous government in Andhra did against us was the reason people believed in us and they voted us into power. Why would we make the same mistake? It was never our belief that we should go after them or we should do revenge politics. We are purely committed in the development of Andhra Pradesh, and that is what you will see. You look at how Chandrababu Naidu ji is working, you look at how I am working, or you look at how NDA is working, or TDP is working.
You will deliver Amaravati.
Definitely we'll deliver Amaravati, and right in the budget session itself, the NDA government has sanctioned 15,000 crores for Amaravati. That was our priority, not revenge politics. How are we going to deal with the opposition in the state? That was kept at the back burner. We were straight away thinking about how do we build our brand Andhra Pradesh, how do we build our capital, how do we build our Polavaram project, how do we bring more ports, more airports, more job creation, how do we do speed of doing business. This is the mantra that Andhra is following now. You would have all heard about ease of doing business, but if you look at Chandrababu Naidu ji, he is not talking about ease of doing business. Everyone is into ease of doing business. He said, I want speed of doing business now. I want to do business so much that there will be a lot of job creation in the state. So we are very progressive, very development oriented government right now in the state of Andhra Pradesh. But when you talk about some of the issues, it might look political or revenge, but we are placing the facts in front of the people. We don't want to hide anything. Now we have to, whatever the truth is, the people have to know. So let it be Tirupati issue or some other issue. If there is a fact, we will put it in front of the people and we will let them decide. But our whole idea and our whole priority is to develop the state, and through the development of the state, move the country forward.
Well, thank you very much, Ram, for joining us on this session. And thank you for putting it out so clearly, and all the very best with your innings.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.